Hello everyone. Today we're going to show you how to adjust a Shimano Tourney rear derailleur. These come in 6-speed and 7-speed options, and today we're going to show you how to do the 7-speed option on this Guardian Original 24-inch bike. All you're going to need is a Phillips head screwdriver. Let's dive on in. I'm going to show you how to do the adjustments to your derailleur here in this bike stand. If you have one, great. If not, you can still do this at home. You'll need to find a family member or neighbor so that they can hold up the seat and get the rear wheel off the ground. And this is going to allow you to pedal and shift the bike. To adjust your derailleur, here are some of the basics that you need to know. This is your derailleur, and what it does is it moves the chain between gears, also known as sprockets, and that's what we'll be adjusting. This gear that we're in right now is your 1 gear, also known as the low gear, and it is the biggest sprocket on the bike. This gear right here is your 7th gear, also known as the high gear, and it's the smallest sprocket on the bike. There are 3 things you can adjust on a derailleur. This right here is your high limit screw, and it's used to adjust your high gear, in this case the 7th gear. This right here is your low limit screw, and this is used to adjust your 1st gear. And then this in the back of the derailleur is your barrel adjuster, and this is used to index the gears 2 through 6. The first thing we're going to want to do is put this in the high gear, because that's the first adjustment we're going to make, so we'll shift this down into gear 7 here. If you've been riding your bike and your derailleur hasn't been working, before you make any adjustments, you'll want to check that your derailleur hanger isn't bent. This piece is designed if the bike's dropped or you get in a crash to bend before the frame or the derailleur. So if you see this part bent, if it's just bent a little bit, the adjustments we're going to show you will probably work. But if it's bent really bad, we suggest you get that either replaced or bent backwards by a shop before you make any derailleur adjustments. The first thing we're going to do is adjust the high limit screw. You'll see if I tighten the tension by turning it clockwise, the derailleur will move inward. If I loosen the tension by turning it counterclockwise, the derailleur will start to move outboard. If I were to draw a line right from the 7th sprocket down to the pulley, you want to set this up so that the pulley is just outboard below the sprocket. So something like this is right about perfect. Now that the high gear is adjusted, we're going to shift up into the 5th gear. You'll see when I turn to the 6th gear, it didn't jump, and that's because the indexing's off. We're going to continue to shift up into 5th gear, and you'll see that when it's in 5th, it's staying in the 6th sprocket right here. So I'm going to shift it one more time, and now I'm in the 4th gear right now on my shifter, but this is in the 5th gear. So to match those, I'm going to shift my derailleur while the wheel is not moving back into the 5th gear to match those. When you're in the 5th gear, you'll want the derailleur pulley to be right below the 5th sprocket. You can see from the line right here that the derailleur pulley is off to the right. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the barrel adjuster by turning this to the left counterclockwise. And what this is going to do is it's going to move the derailleur so that we can line up the pulley right below the 5th gear. Now that we got the barrel adjuster working, you'll see that when we shift back between the 5th gear, the 6th gear, and then to the 7th, it's shifting smoothly now, and we'll go back up to the 6th, shifting smoothly, 5th, and everything seems to be working. Now the last thing that we need to do is we need to fix the low limit gear, so we're going to shift up into the 1st gear. To adjust the 1st gear, you're going to want to use the low limit screw here. And if I tighten that, it's going to move it inward towards the 2nd gear. And loosening it is going to make it go outboard. And what we want to do is if we were to draw a line right from the 1st sprocket down to that pulley, we want it to be lined up right below there. And that's going to allow it to shift properly. To make sure that the 1st gear is set up properly, I like to push a little bit on the derailleur to test that if it gets hit, that the chain won't go right into the spokes. You can see here by just putting a little bit of pressure on here, it's wanting to go into the spokes. So we're going to want to tighten the low limit screw so that we can move this away from the wheel. Now when I push on this, you can see that it no longer wants to shift into the spokes. Once you've got your low limit, your barrel adjuster, and your high limit screw all set, now we want to go through the gears to make sure everything's shifting properly. You can see that as I go through these, the gears are shifting nice and smooth, and then we'll go all the way back up to the first gear. Hope that was helpful, and thanks for watching. Enjoy the ride.